Hi, I'm Michelle B. Griffin, and welcome to the podcast of the She's Visible movement, the show where we help women, experts, and leaders become recognized authorities in their fields. Each week, join me and my guests as we share our lessons, our stories, and what it really takes to build the visibility and personal brands of women just like you. I'm delighted you're here. Now let's get going with today's show. Hey there, it's Michelle B. Griffin, and welcome back to another episode of the She's Visible Movement podcast. Today, I'm going to be introducing you to a guest all the way from the UK who I have called my sister in women's visibility, Antonia Taylor, who runs a PR and comms firm outside of London, who has recently published a beautiful white paper and soon to be a book called Being Seen. And it's all about women's visibility, which is, of course, the entire premise of She's Visible for more visible women in business and leadership. She'll talk about the 3 areas of being seen and the 8 remarkable women, from leaders in corporate to running their own businesses. These incredible women that she interviewed and the lessons learned. This quick episode is actually part 1, because next week, part 2 is all about the 6 new rules of visibility we need to know and practice for the coming year. I know you're going to resonate with a lot of what Antonia is sharing, and also what I've shared too. It's a brilliant conversation. As much as I know you're going to resonate with this conversation. And she's also writing a book since this recording. It's the power of putting yourself out there. She's in talks to bring this into a book. So again, it illustrates you never know who you're going to meet on LinkedIn. That's where we met. And you never know when you put yourself out there what is going to land, who is going to read it, see it, be so moved by it. So consider that with whatever you may be holding back right now. There's a link in the show notes to my Recognition Ready AI Visibility Scorecard, my new framework, the 3 areas you'll want to really strengthen so that you become the expert AI recommends. Let's get going with this episode. And again, next week will be part 2. All right, everybody, on to the show. Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode. We are back with a topic that I love talking about, and I know it is in the forefront. We're talking about being visible, being seen, and I'm thrilled because my guest is speaking the same language, and she's all the way from the UK in London. So it's my pleasure to welcome to the show Antonia Taylor. Welcome.
Hi, Michelle. It's lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. So it's good to have you here. But before we jump into your white paper on being seen and what we're going to talk, tell everyone who's not familiar with you yet a little bit about your background.
Oh, thank you. My name is Antonia Taylor. I run Antonia Taylor PR and Comms. And so 25 years into a PR and Comms career, sort of focusing on tech and corporate comms. And just by paying attention to what's going on in the world, you can't but help want to give attention to it, I think, as a woman in business in particular. And yeah, I just started noticing some trends around about 5 years ago, around things didn't seem to be progressing in the way that I had expected when I entered the workplace. And I thought it was sort of like my observations, but then data started tracking in the same direction. And if I'm being honest, I carried this piece of work, Being Seen. I carried it sort of around in my head and my heart for a couple of years. And then I think at the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm going to have to actually get this out of my head and into the world.
We're so glad. And I can identify, and I know our listeners and viewers too, when you have an idea, and even if it speaks to our visibility, we get that little twing, and I'm speaking for myself, that imposter syndrome, or for me, it's analysis paralysis. This is a part of fear of perfectionism, but whatever it is, you got it out there. This fall, she launched, we'll put a link in the show notes to this brilliant white paper called Being Seen. It's gorgeous cover, beautifully written and read and interviewed with some other women. First class. I actually think it could be a book down the road. It's just so good.
There's conversations, Michelle. There are conversations happening with an editor. I was lucky enough. I mean, again, I know that you talk about, and we're probably going to come to this, you talk about the power of connection and the opportunities that this leads to, the opportunities for collaboration. I'm lucky enough I have an editor, publishing editor on my newsletter list. And when I introduced the idea of being seen back in the summer, I did like a little soft launch, like this is coming, sort of planting seeds. And she came back to me and she's like, we might need to book a call in.
Yes, I am so glad because my PR brain was like, this has got to be a book. We are meeting
Mm.
today for the first time for those listening. We not only do we share a love for women being visible and seen and recognized and chosen and all the things, but we both have a background in PR. I knew when I was 17 years old, I wanted to be in PR. I got my master's in PR. Early part of my career, I worked in corporate and an agency side and all that. So I've
Mm.
always wanted to tell someone's story and craft their narrative. I still do now, and I know you do too. But right now, it's even more important with women and visibility and for the She's Visible movement. But I utterly jaw dropped on what an incredible experience reading, being seen is.
Being in PR, you're trained to put the spotlight on other
Mhm.
people. So I think for us, it's almost like a double whammy. We're going to talk about the paradox of visibility, but in PR, your job is to shine a light on other people, to make room for other people's stories and narratives. And so there's that sort of second layer of, should I be doing this? Shouldn't I be focusing on doing your own PR, right? When you're in PR. When I came to the idea of talking about specifically women's visibility, I was like, oh, someone's going to have done this much better than me. There's going to be a million
Mhm.
books out there on it. And when I did the research, Michelle, there was nothing. I found a single Harvard Business Review study with why women stay out of the spotlight. And the central premise there was obviously there's this paradox of visibility. So the paradox of visibility is women, if you avoid visibility, personal brand, professional reputation, you end up sort of being overlooked. And that has an immediate impact on, career velocity, career progression, opportunities, your business success. However, when you actually put yourself forward or take that step towards visibility, there's an immediate backlash.
Sure.
So there's a cost that comes with visibility as well. And at the moment, we connected over the conversation around what's happening on the algorithm in LinkedIn and how that's affecting women's visibility. But I think there is that thing where women sort of like naturally resist the temptation to be seen. I think a lot of women actually would like to be more visible, but I think we're so socialized and the culture plays against us.
Especially, I don't mean to slam a particular platform, but it's synonymous with the Instagram influencer. It's all about me, me, me. And I'm all about service-based visibility. But also, I'm a private person. I remember reason as a kid, I don't like talking about myself. I'd much rather talk about other people. That's why when I say it's service-based visibility, you put yourself out there, you're the messenger driving something out there for someone else. These are all the things that are plaguing us, but you said forget it. Even that internal voice, who am I to put this out there? It's the judgment monster. I said this in my TEDx talk. Who am I? It's already been said, but I'm so glad you busted through that because the world is better. We as women are better off for you starting this conversation. We're going to put a link in the show notes so you can immediately go download this beautiful white paper. And the thing about it is, you're telling other women's stories. They're all strong, powerful women who have brilliance. But let's get into it because there's 3 areas you talk about. First, you have to identify what professional visibility is. So let's get into that.
From the starting point, I wanted to bring that intellectual sort of rigor. I wanted to make sure that I was presenting a diverse bench of speakers as much as anything. Genuinely people whose work I truly, truly admire and support, champion. 8 interviews about how they understand professional visibility. So many of the women, I would say 5 out of the 8 women I spoke to didn't like the word personal brand. And these are women with very strong personal brands who have intentionally fostered strong personal brands. It was really interesting about how people had that like resistance around it. Whereas other women within the report, they were okay with sort of like saying, I need a personal brand, I actively cultivate it. So that was interesting. But in terms of professional visibility, it's that professional reputation. It's about thought leadership as well. Each of the women I spoke to, I'd be really clear on what they stand for and what they don't stand for as well, because they have original thoughts and they share those thoughts. Visibility is also leadership, Michelle. It's like the way these women each lead their community, their stakeholders, their client, their audiences.
I love that. It's self-advocacy. Because I live on LinkedIn a lot, on a very high level, I don't like the term because I see it misused. I teach a very foundational way how to do it. And I see everyone and their mother, brother, and 6th cousin once removed talking about personal branding when it's just getting on social media. But I use it as a search term. But essentially, I've floated the terms personal positioning, personal presence, personal profile, personal PR even. You are presenting yourself to the world so you're known for something top of mind. Service-based visibility, using your gifts, solution, transformation, expertise, and service to others. I mean, you're going to help yourself, you're going to help others. And I ended my TEDx talk, when we all put ourselves out there, the world itself will be a lot more kinder, more educated, more joyful, more just contribution focused.
'Cause that's
Yeah.
I was literally about to say what your contribution is. And I think once people can reframe visibility as making a contribution towards a particular change, but then obviously if that change serves more people, if that change is like bigger than yourself,
Yes.
if there's that purpose, you speak a lot about this as well, Michelle, that intention. It's about getting away from visibility. Visibility for visibility's sake
Yes.
is performative. It's quite see-through.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's sustainable.
That's why I've always loved to hang out in the LinkedIn world, because truly the people I work with, admire, connect with, all the things, for the most part, they are here giving their expertise, their contributions to the world out there. But also, you got to pick what's right for you on how to show up. And it's going to look a little
Yeah.
different for a woman in business versus leadership. But I just wanted to address, hey, listeners, if you do not like the term personal branding, it's okay to not like it, but just be comfortable with the idea that it's you putting yourself out there in the service of others, contribution with what the gifts you have, the expertise you have to bring change, transformation for others. It's a collective thing, and especially women helping women. So it's a beautiful thing.
There's a lovely quote. It's probably the quote that I sort of go back to the most, and it's from Tamu Thomas, who is a sort of a leadership coach, and she's written a wonderful book called Women Who Work Too Much. And she says visibility is activism.
And that's the thing. And I want to really advocate for this. It's not just being visible for visibility's sake, it's being consistently on what works for you. Because if you really want to bring change and be known, you're staying true to what you believe in, what you're here for. We know visibility is advantage, is opportunity for you and for the women behind you and everyone together. And that you have a voice, you have a value, and your visibility matters. So the second part is why it matters. And I think that kind of almost speaks for itself. But in leadership, you really got into a lot of women who are in the corporate world, that you pulled back the layers, and a lot of their quotes were mic drop moments, right? They were just, wow. The stuff that you pulled out, the spark that you pulled out of them, that might be my favorite part, the middle part. It was so good, so easy to read, so eye-opening.
When I look at sort of like the mix of the contributors as well, there were 2 or 3 are in the corporate environment, in the leadership. And then quite a few of them also work for themselves, creative entrepreneurs, executive coaches, or public speaking coach as well. It's just about how does visibility serve your career? How does it become a growth lever to your career, to your business? And what does it enable you to do as a leader? The mic drop moments are, if I'm thinking about Cindy Simons, gave her access to senior leaders, which then meant that she had more influence than maybe her peers had as well. So that was really powerful. And then, there's a quote from Selena Barker, who is a career coach. Her point was, if she's not visible, she doesn't have a business.
That's so true for women founders and business owners. You can't make it. I mean, and that doesn't mean you have to be on social media all the time either. Just hearing how they've approached it and the opportunities they're getting from it, that was the proof right there. And business, proof in the pudding right there. So you don't just end it there, because we want to say this. Visibility is great. And I always say, put yourself out there, but without a plan, you're just left huddling, scared on the side. So I've been refining over the last year my Own Your Lane recognition roadmap that I teach. Is just these 4 levers. You just need enough to get out there, because the action comes, the momentum comes when you take that baby step. My whole story's in the LinkedIn branding book. And when I write my 3rd book, I'll have to put the story in there too. But I was scared, it took me 5 years to launch my business. I was so scared. I talk about it in my TEDx talk too. And then when I get out, I'm scared again to get on LinkedIn for 9 months. Each time you want to go higher, you're just scared when you want to take that next step.
It's about bringing that mindfulness back. What can you expand to? What's sort of the level that you can tolerate? And then how do you do the next upgrade?
And it's easier when you just micro step it out there. But
Yeah.
you can't stop, because I've been guilty of it too. I get on the side of the road and overthink it. And then the more you get off and overthink, the more you self-sabotage and you become inconsistent.
Yeah.
I'm so guilty of that. I will be honest.
I had a massive visibility crisis, I think about 2 weeks before I launched. But then you're probably like me in the sense that you have to go back to that leadership piece as well.
Yes.
And one of the things that really comes through is the modeling. There's that saying, you can't be what you can't see.
Yes.
And so a lot of the incredible women that I spoke to as part of being seen talked about the importance of modeling and visibility. It's not legacy as much, but it is about encouraging younger women, younger colleagues, their daughters, their nieces, their friends' children, their friends' daughters. You also creating a culture of safety and more
Yeah,
visibility
it's
for
a
the next
snowball.
generation.
This is a great segue into 3. We can't DIY our visibility. Like, we need help. We're talking about right here with other women. We're talking about
Yeah,
organizations, corporations, platforms,
yeah,
whoever that can do this, help women own their voice, their value, and their visibility. Let's collectively
yeah.
do it. I know you're working on some stuff in the UK. What would you advocate to get this ball started for women on their own and then collective organizations to continue this?
For women on their own, I think I've written about this before on my Substack. Confidence is a muscle that you develop from repetition, and it's those micro actions, those baby steps that you speak to, Michelle. You have to have a willingness, and you have to come back to be clear on what you want to be
Yes.
seen for as well. I'm doing more work around visibility and the connection. I know that you've talked about this a lot, the connection between visibility and clarity, what you want to be seen for, who you want to be known as, how you want to be seen, and what you want to offer, what service it is that you're bringing into the world, what your contribution is. I think if you can go take that step back and do that deeper work,
Yeah.
then what's the visibility that you want to create in service of that?
No, I'm so glad you said that's exactly why I say let's work on the foundation, not the fluff. And social media is leaning into its 2.0 phase where we're not getting the reach. So I've always said since 2021, before AI came around and before the LinkedIn started tanking on us, is that we must diversify our visibility streams. I've said that for like 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
but if you just kind of know, that's why I have my Own Your Lane. I've really started to refine is launch your vision. Where do you want to go and what is the purpose? When we know who you're here for to contribute, like for you and I, to help more brilliant people be seen, especially women, and not just be seen, but noticed, known, and chosen. And
love that, Michelle.
hey,
What's that notice, known, and
yes,
chosen?
I mean
Yeah,
we can be noticed, but we want to be known for it and then chosen for what we want. And then so A is
yeah,
assert your difference. It's like, what do you want to be known for? What is the uniqueness that you bring that you'll be top of mind? So when we know that, these are just those 4 pointers, the 4 coordinates that I encourage, and I'll get to the next 2 before you put yourself out there because you don't need to do too much. Because I was working with clients a couple years ago, like we were doing too much, and we just need to get you out there, and then it just beautifully comes. So N is navigate your message. What is that one simple thing you want to take out online and the rooms that matter on LinkedIn, social, just something very simple that people remember. Repetition is belief. And that's what it takes, especially with all this noise and AI. And then E is elevate your visibility, depending if you're in corporate, your own business. Where are you going to start being visible? It's going to be different for everybody on your comfort level, your
yes,
industry, your own unique
yeah.
take and way you like to show
Yeah.
up.
When I speak to clients who are coming to me to support, women's visibility in particular, one of the challenges that I've noticed, particularly in tech, where there has been the uptake of hybrid working
Hmm.
as well, they really want support in building their internal networks,
Yes.
which I think is really interesting because, there's that sort of like the impact that hybrid has affected connections, affected relationship, or the water cooler moment,
Yes.
etc. Imagine that it's the same in the US, but certainly in the UK, there is a massive return to office mandate happening across corporate
Yes.
and all organizations actually currently.
Going back to these 4 things, my guardrails, this is why I show up.
But
This is how I'm different. This is what I say about it. And this is where I'm being visible. These visibility levers are going to start elevating me. Then you're going to take these steps. You don't overcomplicate it. You got them and you can start going out there. And so each little step, some of us are more
yeah,
inclined to get out there faster, but we all want to take that step. So anyway, that's what I teach and preach. Sometimes they already have this brilliance that I'm like, oh, we should make a framework or brand this term so they can really be known and elevated.
yeah,
It looks different, but it's essentially the same for an entrepreneur or corporate leader.
the drivers are different.
Yeah.
For example, I've got a very good friend who's going for partnership at another big accountancy firm. And she's under all this pressure because, part of her metrics for the promotion are going to be like how visible she is and, influence and authority. She knows she's under pressure to post on LinkedIn, but she gets no support. She gets no
Exactly.
support from within the organization. She's really terrified of being seen because she doesn't want people to judge her as being too ambitious. She doesn't want people to say, well, why are you on LinkedIn and not looking after your kids?
That's
there's all these competing priorities that we have as women.
exactly. LinkedIn is a double-edged sword because there you can get visible, but then so many women are scared to post. And I get, especially in corporate. That's why I really want to make sure women in particular, even if you don't post, that your profile is so robust and it makes you look like, oh, wow, look at her. Look at all her accomplishments. It's your personal brand website.
Your bio, yeah. And like you said, what's the change that you bring? What's the
Mhm.
transformation that you bring within your organization, across your business? Why do you think people better than you found them?
Exactly. The problem you solve for whom you're solving it for. So that's what I teach in that framework. But getting into it for our listeners, we have some great tips here. And then organizations, I like working with employee resource groups. I love partnering so many incredible women's groups, events, or associations that if I can partner with them and bringing the roadmap and this stuff, like a
Yeah.
turnkey program I'm developing. So it just brings them, how do they do their 4 points and maybe strengthen their profile? And then where can they start? I even teach something called the Spark Soundbite, how to have a bold, clear message that gets you remembered.
Oh, I love
Yeah. So
that.
I teach that too. So if you can just empower them with these tools. So I'm all about empowerment,
Yeah, yeah,
education,
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
equipment with a practical way to
Ugh.
have something to take forward. Motivation without transformation, to me, it's fleeting. And then the
Yeah.
toolkit to get you out there.
Momentum has natural tendency to go out really, really big
Yeah.
and then pull back.
Yes.
And then also you build it up in your head like, oh my God, I haven't posted for, or whatever your chosen form is. I haven't posted on LinkedIn for 6 months.
Yeah.
How am I going to get back out there again? Or you haven't been to a networking meeting for a year.
Yes.
I think it's really important that you do find your rhythm that you can commit to.
Yeah. So what would you say the one tip for women to start getting visible after writing Being Seen?
Start small,
Okay.
but start.
Okay.
And carry on
Yeah.
as well. And
Oh.
be in congruence with yourself.
Yeah.
Those are always the pieces that land as well. People can tell when you're being authentic. Algorithms are not.
The world existed on trillion-dollar economies before social media and the internet. I'm not saying we have to get off the digital, but you can supplement.
yeah.
We're craving more human
Yeah.
connection in person. And
I think that's going to be big.
so just realize social media isn't the end all be all. We must diversify our visibility.
I love the language.
As you say so perfectly, start small. I would echo,
Thank you.
download the Being
Yeah.
Seen white paper. That's a really good background. You've laid it out so well. You've got 8 other women sharing their stories. You're going to probably see some of
Yeah.
yourself in there. Antonia, how we can connect with you.
Thank you. I'm on LinkedIn, Antonia Taylor PR, and then also on Instagram at Antonia Taylor PR. I do have a Substack that goes out bi-weekly, and that's about leadership. It's about running a business. It's about how you show up in your work and your business and your creativity.
So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I know we'll be talking again, especially because we are so aligned in everything from PR to women's visibility and what's next. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen today. And if you want more information about some of the work that I'm doing, please head over to michellebgriffin.com. You can look and get some of my resources, and you can start getting visible today. And as I always say, keep putting yourself out there. You have a brand to build, a message to share, and people to impact. I'll catch you next time. Take care. That's it for today's episode. And before we go, can I ask a favor? I would be so honored if you could give this show a rating and a review, because that helps more women who are maybe on the sidelines and so ready to put themselves out there, or who are ready for their next level and can find us and learn everything they need to build their visibility, their personal brands, and become thought leaders in their space. Thank you so much. Until next time, take care.